Yes. Oh, I can hear you guys, so we're
not muted.
We're not muted.
We're not muted. This is how things go on backstage.
Oh, they can hear us.
This is how it goes, fellas.
Yeah.
Backstage.
This is what backstage is like.
For sure.
Why are we loading at PlayStation 2 speeds, though?
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy.
Then we need to get an SSD for the loading screen.
We need to get like a picture of like James Harrison from 2004, like just standing there like the old
Madden 2001.
Yeah, I don't want to beg for super chats, but like every super chat we get today will go towards a faster loading screen.
We'll go towards the SSD.
Yeah, we're gonna get ourselves a PS5.
So this is the 1 minute mark. This is the 1 minute mark now, but I haven't finished the intro. But because we'll talk about it too in the the thing.
It's a cool intro. I like it.
It's a cool intro.
I like how chat's like we can hear you. Yeah, we know.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, we can hear you.
We know you hear us.
We know.
So what happened, chat? For those of you that are here, by the way, thank you for joining the AFC North talk. What happened is we got hit by a copyright claim. I think there are about 40 to 50 videos.
Oh, they hit them all, man. They're in our inbox
God.
at this point.
Yeah. So we scratched all the intro. I'm working to finish an intro. That will be the timer. Instead of a timer, it has the little bar thing. And I'm building something afterwards that has no highlights, but it'll have the team logo or something like that. So
can't have fun, man.
Hopefully,
have fun.
No, man, I can't believe it because
Roger Goodell runs YouTube.
Exactly.
Well, so the highlights weren't even the problem. I think what happened was, you know how we have the two songs, right?
Yeah.
The Oda one, and then we have a jazz one. Both of them are royalty free on YouTube. I think the person that does the jazz one decided, like, I'm not gonna have it free anymore. Boom.
Okay, if that's true, we need to talk to YouTube, because if it was royalty free at one point and then they just unroyalty freed it, their YouTube's got to have a policy.
No, that's not. They can't do that.
Yeah, I don't. Exactly.
Hold on. This is a conversation off the show.
Yeah, off show.
Yeah, but
I think that's what happened because we were hitting.
This is
we got
great.
limited time.
This is what the issue was. People have been clamoring for a new intro for the longest, and you know what? YouTube was like, you know what? I got this. They've been dragging their feet with this new intro.
Made an executive decision.
We got to get Chase Claypool out of there.
Yep.
We got to get all of these guys out of there that aren't on the teams anymore. We got old Bengals jerseys. Let's get this out of here.
I want to let YouTube made an executive decision. He was like, dog, I know Baker Mayfield still ain't in this. No more intro. No more intro.
Hey, no. Hold on. I'm a big fan of Chase Claypool's work. Chase Claypool did a lot of great work for the Steelers, including this weekend.
Yeah.
So good.
We'll be talking about that soon. Mark here with the super chat. By the way, thank you for all the super chat. Thank you for the Patreon supporter. Again, we got copyrighted strikes all over. I think it happened last week. I think Tony's like, Sonny, are you seeing this? And then the email right now is just every day I get 3 more or 4 more. It's just crazy. Anyway, got to see the Ravens get their future Pro Bowl receiver, Dante Bemis. I like the kid. We'll see. He went undrafted for a reason. Okay, before we talk about draft, because there's a lot of draft talk. I don't even know if we're gonna have one show. We might have to split into 2. But let's talk about Lamar Jackson, because Q, you put a line. I started laughing so hard, Q. You in our private messages, Q put a chat after Lamar got signed and said, "God must love Sonny." I started laughing hard.
Because Sonny was suffering so long, and they finally just ended it. And I'm like, well,
it was so
anticlimactic. Good. I wanted this to drag out until July.
Right, you told me it was gonna drag until July, and I mean, and then you guys asked me here, people that are Ravens fans DM me, people at work that they're Ravens fans, right? And then I know, even in here in England, in the military base, I have a Bengal fan, one Steeler fan that I know, and they ask me every time they see me, what's going to happen with Lamar? It was so good. It was so good to not talk about it. But anyway, recapping what happened with the contract was very similar to Jalen Hurts, right? He got $1 million more per year on the average salary, $5 million guarantee. Now, he hasn't signed it, by the way. Not that I know of.
Wait, he still hasn't actually put pen to paper?
Because I haven't seen the Ravens. You know how they always do that little picture?
Oh, the picture.
Oh, yeah.
He was on their official Instagram. So, I mean, official, like, social.
No, I mean, it's a done deal. It's just a matter of
it's happened.
The details hasn't come. The details of cap hasn't come out yet.
Wait, we don't know the structure yet?
No.
Come on, Lamar. All right,
No.
you know what? You know why?
You know what? That's Lamar got a good agent. He don't need to have his numbers advertised out there, right?
I was looking at
that him not having an agent. That this never coming out, y'all. Like it's never coming out.
Eric DaCosta told Lamar. He said, "Listen, we're not actually going to offer. We're not going to put this pen to paper on this yet until you interview yourself. We want to see this interview with yourself. You have to release the interview with yourself before this contract becomes official."
Dude, that is true. That never happened. Okay,
that's the saddest part of this whole process.
And that the one thing I was gonna say was this contract, to be fair, because the narrative has been like the Ravens want to give Lamar money, blah blah blah. This contract was very similar to the one that was leaked last September. The difference was, good for Lamar, he went from 47 average or 48 average to 52, I believe is the average now. Yeah. So he got $5 million per year on average salary, but the guarantees are about the same. Structure wise sounds about the same, right? So yeah, I'm just happy. Thank you, Philadelphia Eagles, for just doing this for us. I mean, that's what did it. Yeah, that's literally what did it. The Eagles, and then the Ravens like, look, we'll do this contract. Well, yeah, a $1 million more per year, sure, we'll give you $1 million more per year.
I'm sad it didn't. I'm sad just for the content, just for the memes. I'm sad it didn't like play itself out all the way through July. Because I've been saying for the last couple of times we talked about this that I thought, the longer this went on with Lamar still negotiating even after his quote unquote trade request, to feel like this was like a guarantee he was going to come back. But I was hoping, for the meme's sake, that we could let this thing go all the way to July, and then
thank God no.
It's too bad. But like you said, Sonny, I mean, it's a good deal for both sides, right? I mean, Lamar doesn't, if the rumors about the guaranteed stuff were real, obviously he didn't get that, but he gets a good deal. I mean, this is a good deal for him, for the Ravens. I mean, you got to see structure, but just looking at the raw numbers, it's in line with what you would expect.
I mean, Lamar can literally say, "I don't need an agent. Look, Jalen Hurts had an agent. I got more than Jalen Hurts. Thank you."
Yeah.
And I think the Jalen Hurts thing helps get this done, right? Because it's similar guys. Running quarterbacks. Obviously, Lamar got more, which you could throw the MVP in there, so I understand that. But this is what we were looking for. Well, I guess the Ravens were looking for to happening. I'm not mad about it as a Bengals fan. I think it's just, I was a Lamar fan before, he was a Raven, so I did want to see him get his just due. I'm glad to see that it was able to happen. Glad to see him get some weapons now, too. So I think, I didn't want this thing to drag out to July because this was going to become Lamar Jackson North talk every single day. It was kind of getting annoying. Was kind of tired of hearing like the weird stories, waiting on Twitter posts and all of that. Now that that's done, I think we're good. But shout out to the Ravens flock. You guys are gladly happy to keep your guy.
Will Lamar Jackson retire then rather than play on the contract or play on the franchise tag? That's like we could have had at least a month more of those conversations.
I was ready. I had all them points.
Right? I mean, cute.
You know what I mean? Look. I was ready to get in my bag. I had a 40-point game waiting for that day. You know what I mean? And it's in July. We ain't got nothing to talk about in July. Exactly. We was about to get through that month easy.
Exactly.
But no, Lamar want to ruin content strategy for us. Horrible content creator Lamar Jackson is.
Yeah, because and I'm still waiting for that interview. Like, what are we?
Well, yeah, he said like very soon or the next couple of days, something like that. He said like he made a scene. I remember because I was about to throw a video. I'm like, I'm not gonna throw a video. This interview is coming. I need to react to this interview. Let me wait. Then I wait almost a week. I'm like, by now, let me just do my video because when is this interview coming? And yeah, we're still waiting.
Still waiting.
Can we negotiate a new deal for Tony and get him off the team? Like, can we trade him for a second round pick? I mean? I gotta sit here, look at that hat. Look at that hat all stream. You know what I mean? Like, anybody want to? Where are the Bears at? Bears, give us your second round pick. We'll give you Tony.
Gotta blame the Bears.
You know what I mean?
No, I'm looking forward to watching the Penguin over there in Cleveland. for the next 4 years.
That being
right,
said,
it's like they give it and they take it. Right, they take Perion Winfrey 1 year, and I love it, and then they come back and they're like Siaki, and it's like
Siaki is so athletic. He's freakishly athletic. He's like,
it blows my mind. He ran a 4.35 at the combine, right? You know who ran a faster 40 than him? DeJuan Jones at 400 pounds.
Yeah. Right.
That's an athlete.
5.35. He ran a 5.35, not a 4. Yeah. 4.35.
Oh yeah, not 4.35. 5.35.
5.35.
Yeah. DeJuan Jones ran a faster 40 at 70 more pounds almost.
When I saw the highlights,
he's got that explosion though. He explodes
basketball
off the ball.
When I saw the highlights of him playing basketball when you guys drafted him,
DeJuan,
right?
Yeah.
We need to watch the hoop tape. We could have beat ESPN to that.
but I was expecting, him. I don't know. I was expecting a little bit more skills in the basketball court.
Gotta watch out if the Cavs say come and get a 10-day contract.
I was saying, the Browns are deeper at center than the Cavs. Like real talk, you know what I mean? We got Miles and DeJuan. Like we boxing out Mitchell Robinson. You know what I mean? But
okay. So that being said, we put up Twitter poll. This is why you see all messed up here. The movement. Actually, right now, by the way, 36.4 for both Ace and Q on Twitter.
Ohio.
And then
Ohio, baby.
The Steelers 24%, and the Ravens had no love, 3.3%. Also, there's a Twitter poll or there's a YouTube poll, and that one is more right now. By the way, Tony, that one you're first.
Sonny, you well, yeah, okay. I mean,
go ahead.
Objectively speaking, the Steelers had the greatest draft class of all time. And I'm not saying that's an objective observer. I'm not saying that's
the greatest draft class in Pennsylvania.
Like I know people are being very hyperbolic. People are being very hyperbolic about the Steelers. I've seen A+s everywhere, right? And I'm trying really hard not to do that. I would say, the Steelers got 6 players on Sunday. I would say at a minimum, I see probably all 6 of them in the Hall of Fame. So again, I'm trying to temper my expectations.
Look,
I don't want to get too high off of this, but
the Steelers might have had the second best draft, but not even the first in Pennsylvania because
listen, just taking Georgia players is not a strategy, okay? Just taking Georgia players is not.
But taking good Georgia players.
You know what, Tony? I'll refute that because we have talked about this all the time. Where we look at Miami's roster, and go, "Oh my God! Like look at all these. If an NFL team would have took all these dudes, they would have been good." And Philadelphia was the team that was smart enough to be like, you know what? We not gonna be the ones that's gonna be saying that. We just gonna take all the dudes from Georgia we could get, and you know what? Yeah. I think it's gonna work.
I mean, no, it is actually gonna work because they did get Jalen Carter, which is we talked about this on draft night. That's actually
player in the draft.
Jalen Carter is like a level of insanity. Being able to not even have to trade and still get Nolan Smith is like, okay, all right. They didn't lose anything to get him. They just took him.
And then Kelee Ringo falls to the 3rd round, and they get him there. It's
fourth.
Oh, okay. Well, excuse me.
Yeah, more value. More value. They got 2 other guys. They got Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, 2 other guys who were probably highly ranked.
How pissed is Howie Roseman that the Rams took Stetson Bennett in the?
I know he was furious, dog. That's why the Rams did it that early. They were like, "All right, Howie's coming for Stetson. He's the perfect backup for Jalen Hurts."
Love it.
So saying that, I think all 4 teams had a decent draft, right? There was no meme this year. There was no memes.
It was a minor. I wouldn't call it. It wasn't a major meme.
It's the 98th pick. You can't be
not in the 4th.
But watching Quincy collapse on his elliptical machine as the words Siaki Ika. No,
I had the whole chat going double A. It was beautiful. It was nothing but A's on the screen, and then you hear Siaki Ika. I'm like, come on, dog. Him like it could have been anybody else, and I would have been all right with it.
And that was moments after the Steelers took Darnell Washington, too. It was like the Steelers took Darnell Washington.
I forgot the Steelers got Darnell Washington, too. Yeah, they also got Keanu Benton. I just hate it. Didn't y'all end up swinging back around and getting somebody? I just hated y'all.
We got Herbig. We did get the Herbig brother.
Yeah, Herbig.
You got Herbig. Do you got the Steelers draft?
Yes, I was gonna go through it. Yep.
Yeah.
So,
but you know what? They came back around. It got DeJuan Jones, and I'm fine. I'm fine.
So this is the Steelers draft. So they started with the tackle Bretford Jones. Corner, the Porter kid.
Hey,
Porter.
what a crazy pick. Hadn't seen him mock the Steelers at all. You know,
yeah.
It was just a crazy off the wall pick by the Steelers.
Overrated.
Keanu Benton, Darnell Washington, the nepotism of the Steelers still alive with Nick Herbig.
Well, I mean, Joey Porter. So, I mean, you want to talk about nepotism? Like,
well, that's true. That's
true.
Not.
Nick Herbig related to
Corey Trice.
Corey Trice.
That was a steal for them.
That's another one. Yeah.
Anderson.
Yeah, Spencer Anderson, who everyone, as soon as the Steelers took Spencer Anderson, every Steelers analyst went, okay, well, I need to find out who that guy is. Because that was not on anybody's radar. But everyone, what's funny about the Steeler draft class is that this was like made in a lab, perfect for Steeler fans to get hyped about it, right? Because I think at some point, every Steeler fan has mocked every single player the Steelers took, other than Spencer Anderson, to their team, or to this team. This is an incredible class. I was, when the Steelers took Darnell Washington, I did the like get up out of my chair, screaming, yelling, running around the living room like the Steelers scored a touchdown. That's how high. I could not believe that actually happened. Because think about it this way. Let's say you took Broderick Jones, like the Steelers took in the first round. Let's say you took him out of this class and you just were evaluating the class based on they got Joey Porter Jr., Keanu Benton, Darnell Washington. That's a pretty good class. I mean, especially considering what we were looking at when the Steelers going in. Like, that's a pretty good class. The fact that they got those three guys. Oh, and also they happened to get Broderick Jones at 14. And by the way, they traded up to get him. But they didn't trade up a whole lot to do it. They only gave up a 4th round pick to go up there and get him. They moved ahead of the Jets, but they didn't have to go up to 8 or 9 to get that guy.
Yeah, it's a good draft.
So realistically, Ace, who do you think in the AFC North had the best draft?
If I'm being objective and not biased, it was the Steelers. Like,
how about you, Q?
It was the Steelers.
I am unable to answer that question.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it, but I actually.
I think that we put too much thought into what we feel about the draft immediately. We're not going to be able to answer this question until 5 years down the line.
This is my favorite thing, which is like, hey guys, really, when you think about it, draft classes aren't good on the day you draft them.
What is the value assessment in the draft?
I think it's like a car, right? You buy it as you draft. As soon as you draft it, it loses value.
No, absolutely not. Because you could draft Darnell Washington and he could learn how to receive, and then all of a sudden, that's a way better value.
That's true, but I'm saying on the day of the draft, as soon as you draft the guy, it's like, okay.
Well, I mean, there's, I see what you're saying. Like that, there's a lot of down. Like you imagine the great. We only talk about the upside for every single player we draft, right? But. Yes, of course. And I think that is one underrated thing about the Steelers class in real talk for a second, okay? Outside of all the memes and hyperbole, I do think too many Steeler fans are overrating this class as far as what's it going to do for the team immediately. I said this on draft night when the Steelers drafted Broderick Jones. I said, look, it's not a guarantee that this guy starts right away, because when you turn on the Broderick Jones tape, you don't see a player who is technically sound, right? The Steelers didn't go out and like hit a single. They went out there and tried to hit a home run with Broderick Jones. Broderick Jones is an athletic freak who gets away with a lot of things, a lot of poor technique because of his athletic, traits. But he's not exactly the most technically sound with his punch, or with the way that he kind of leans and tries to use his head a lot of the time. This is someone who is going to need to learn a lot of technique as we get into the NFL, especially when you're talking about a division that has a Trey Hendrickson coming off the left side, that has a Myles Garrett coming off the left side, right? And like Broderick Jones got away with a lot of stuff that he's going to have to get out of his game. It's not going to be a shock to me if he doesn't start day one. If Dan Moore starts and Broderick Jones is the swing tackle.
Going against TJ day in, day out helps.
Exactly.
By the way, that last pick, why they pick him, right?
Yeah. People always say that. Hey,
Go
this
ahead.
tackle you draft, we got to put you against, like, if you got a TJ or a Miles, that's going to be the best thing for you. No, it's not. It's not good for you, because you're going to go up against TJ Watt and he's going to do something that no other tackle could do, edge rusher could do, and you're going to be thinking that's everybody, and you're going to be oversetting, and you're going to be worried. Imagine going up against Myles Garrett your first snap thinking that's regular. Like, no, dog. Like, some dude's just going to beat you. Like, and then imagine the confidence a drain you're gonna have. You step into your first day at the job, you try to learn the job and everything, and then Myles Garrett comes and whips you on one-on-ones. You ain't never gonna feel the same about your ability to play football. You got to keep them dudes away from Myles Garrett's and TJ Watts, because they might find out that they don't like doing this after that. That's like Ace, if it was your first day doing sports commentary at ESPN, they're like, all right, put you up against Stephen A. Smith. Like, nah, chill. Like, throw me up against, like, Dan Orlovsky or somebody, manageable.
I will say this about Broderick Jones. I don't want to downplay the pick, right? I mean, I really like it because when you look at his athletic traits and you look at his productivity numbers in the SEC, I mean, this is a guy who started every game for Georgia last year, gave up, again, not a technically sound player, but gave up 5 pressures all year, 0 sacks, and got cold for just 2 penalties all season long. Right? I mean, a highly, highly productive player because he can get away with a lot of things because of that athleticism. This is a player who, if he does round into shape, if Pat Meyer can get this guy playing at a high level, and from a technique perspective, given his athletic traits, we're talking about a player who 5 years from now could be like a top 5 tackle in the league. I mean, that's the profile of a Broderick Jones. I'm not saying he's going to get there. I'm saying that's the kind of home run swing the Steelers made with a guy like Broderick, rather than, you look at like a Peter Skoronski. I like Peter Skoronski a lot, but Peter Skoronski has, he has 0 percentile wingspan. He has really small arms. He'll probably come in and be a really nice guard for you for 10 years. Right? Broderick Jones is going to come in and potentially be a top 5 player at his position, but there's a downside there where, look, you can't get away with all this stuff from an athletic perspective at the next level.
The thing about Broderick Jones is funny because I did this Bengals prime ratings, and all of that is based off of historical measurements and all kind of stuff like that. Broderick Jones was number 1 on the board. And the thing about Broderick Jones that I noticed from doing that is he could play all 5 positions. He's got the size and flexibility to play all 5 positions on the offensive line. So if he is a guy that doesn't work out at left tackle, you could always move him to right tackle. You can move this guy around the line. He's going to be successful at one of those in this offense. I think, like you said, Tony, that's the only thing I've heard is the technique concerns. But, when you have what you have on that offensive line, Broderick Jones is easily upgrade from what you guys have over there easily. I think my favorite guy that you guys picked, which I hated to see, Keanu Benton going to the Steelers. Oh my God. I love Keanu Benton. Seeing him go to the Steelers, knowing that he's going to join that defensive line, knowing what he brings in not only the pass rush game, but also the run game. I know that he played nose tackle, but the guy has the size to potentially play some 3-tech as well. Probably won't play that for you guys, but
no, he will. Eventually.
That guy being over there,
they have to have had learned their Javon Hargrave lesson, right? Like, really.
They'll start it. No, they'll start him at nose. I think he's more. I think he's better off at nose to start than Javon Hargrave was. But I agree with you. You probably want to put him, as more of that the 3. As he develops the.
We drafted Siaki Ika not to be a nose.
No, you did not.
For real. They said they're going to turn him from a dump truck to a Ferrari. They asked him what they meant by that, right? And Andrew Berry was like, well, he's not going to be asked to 1-tech anymore. He's not going to be asked to like 2-gap or stuff like that. He's going to be asked to go upfield.
But you guys don't have any nose, right?
Huh?
You guys don't use a nose tackle because you guys play that 4-3.
Oh, we play a wide 9. This makes no sense. Oh. He's not even long. He's not even long. He didn't bench press. He has short arms. He didn't bench press.
Didn't they say there was a report that came out because everybody on the Bengals side was like, why aren't they taking Darnell? And I found this article. It was on Walter Football. And it was like Darnell Washington and Siaki both got some like bad medical flags or something like that. But Darnell
I wasn't even worried about the medical stuff with him.
One time.
At least Darnell, the tape looked good. Like, I could understand why somebody would take the Siaki. The tape don't even look that great. Like, small arms, not very athletic, not very long, not overly strong for somebody who's supposed to be like 350. Like, and then he didn't bench press at 325 with short arms. He's supposed to kill that. Like, a big dude like that with short arms supposed to do like 50 on the bench press or something crazy like that. Yeah. He chose not to do it, but he chose to run the 40. with
decisions. He's a good decision maker.
Like, man, what are we doing here? People gonna try to Jim Schwartz likes to pick, and he knows more about you than football. That is true. That don't mean he's infallible. He can make a bad pick. This is a bad pick, man. This is a bad pick. Is he even strong enough to two gap? If that's what you wanted him to do, is he long enough to two gap?
He's not long enough. That's the problem. He's not long enough. I did think that, as like just a space, taker upper, for the lack of a damn better term.
People don't play that position no more.
No, I know. I understand that.
That's not a position anymore.
I understand that. Yeah.
I mean, I can't find an angle on it where I like that pick.
Okay, that's a good question. Is Joey Porter Jr. starting? I think there's a chance. No. Have you guys watched Joey Porter Jr. tape?
I do. I have.
Okay. So Joey Porter Jr. has unbelievably freakishly long arms, right? Yes. I mean, his wingspan is like 97th percentile. Joey Porter Jr. loves to be right here, right? Joey Porter Jr. is world lives in press man type situations. They talk about he's stiff a lot on tape, Now, you see that, but I do find that that's more when he's asked to play more off. I don't know if it's a stiffness so much as it is a lack of comfortability in those spots.
Let me introduce here.
Yeah.
What I saw was when he's playing off ball, he's not confident, in my opinion, of his ability to react when the receiver breaks, right?
Yeah.
And he tends to get grabby at that point.
Oh, he's grabby. I mean, he has no idea what he's doing. The crazy thing about him is he's a press man corner who really doesn't do a great job. Once again, that kind of like the punch at the line of scrimmage, right, to redirect. He's not doing a lot of that. He's just kind of like, I'm going to be physical with you. We're going to get my hands on you. We're going to, he does get very grabby at times. He's going to get called for PI a lot if he doesn't fix that. So that's why I say, here's another guy. Do I think that he starts in 2023? I mean, probably.
But you have Peters, right? And you
have Peterson, and we have Levi Wallace.
You have Sutton?
No, Sutton went to Detroit.
Who's in the slot? I know he's probably not playing in the slot.
We don't talk about slot. No. Ace. We don't talk about the slot in Pittsburgh, all right? We're having a good weekend. We're trying to have fun here on the show. We don't talk about the slot.
Wait, isn't that the Peninsula?
No, Pierre's still on the roster, by the way. Don't hate right now.
You're muted.
Enough.
You know who's a good slot corner?
Mike Hilton.
Yeah, real good. Yeah. Whatever happened to him?
Yeah, well, what did happen to him? Poor guy. Anyway, for Joey Porter Jr., no, I'm not sure that he starts right away, but I think he will eventually start, right?
Who will be your more impacted player of your class early?
Honestly, I think Darnell Washington, if you're asking me right now who I think has the most impact right away, it's Darnell Washington.
Yeah, because
as a blocker, or do you guys run a lot of 12?
We're going to run a ton of 12. And we're going to run 12. We're going to run like so much freaking 12.
Come on, Ace. Come on, Ace.
I mean, the amount of 12.
I haven't looked at their numbers. I can't really remember. I know I watched a couple Steelers games.
I don't think the plan is to have.
I do remember Tommy Trimble and all of that from a few years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I think they do use two tight ends.
The idea is Kenny under 25.
Now I know the Ravens use 12. I know they use 12 for sure.
The Steelers went 7-2 down the stretch last year, and they did. It was like primarily because after the bye week, they switched everything over to being a more. Remember, after they traded Claypool, everything was then 12 personnel, Gentry on the field a lot, run.
Yeah, Gentry.
And that's what got me so excited. The Darnell Washington pick. You guys know how much I love Darnell. I mean, 6'7", 270, right? I mean, this guy is he put in his Instagram. His Instagram profile says 6th offensive lineman, right? That's what that's how he describes himself. Right? That he takes pride in the idea that he's going to be an elite blocking tight end. But I think from a receiving perspective, the thing about him is, look, he has to learn to be a receiver, right? To understand route trees and getting open. But when you do get this man the ball, defenders do not want to bring him down. He had more yak on a per catch basis than any tight end taken before him in this class. Yeah. And this is a good tight end class, right? We talk about Dalton Kincaid, Michael Mayer, Sam Laporta, Croft, or all these guys. He had 7.5 yards of yak. Michael Mayer had 5. Dalton Kincaid had 5.5. There's just something about a 6'70", 270-pound tight end running down, and these 5'11" safeties are like, I don't think I'm going to try and make an open field tackle here. No, I think I opted out on that one. So yeah, I'm excited. And what I love more though is that this gives the Steelers an identity. This gives the Steelers an identity of what do you want to be? The post Ben era or really the post-Killer B era, has been this like, what exactly are you trying to do offensively? And now they have an identity. They want to be the more physical team. That's clearly what this class is all about. You look at every player they took, you start their profile by saying this is a very physical player. So that's what I'm excited about, is like, we're going to be the Zag team, right? And we're in a league where everybody wants to be, how much offensive weaponry can we get around our quarterback, and let's, go bombs away. The Steelers are going to be the team of like, nah, we're not going to play that game. We're going to go back to 1994 and we're going to run the ball 30 times a game. We're going to be the most physical team, right? And look, I don't know that you can win a Super Bowl doing that, but it's like that line in The Big Lebowski, right? Say what you will about the tenets of National Socialism, but at least it's an ethos, right? Like, say what you will about being a power run team in 2023, but at least it's an identity. And to that, I am excited. Especially as a Steeler fan,
Allen Robinson pack in the air already. That trade was pointless now.
What's that? Oh, no, because because Allen Robinson, once again, the only thing he has left, he lost all his athleticism. All he has is physicality left.
He can block.
He can, exactly. All he has is physicality left.
Yeah,
look,
this is what Allen Robinson's mouth will look like. Release, hand out, slide.
That probably gets an uptick. So you guys ran 22% of the time last year. You guys were like 12th ranked in that. So you guys are going to get a bump in that. 11, you ran 69% of the time. So, yeah. And then
but the Steelers,
but here's the thing the Steelers can do now, that they can run 12, but run it as 11, right? Meaning that you can split Freiermuth out wide, right, in the slot, and then put Darnell in the
Jets
line.
Fans are back. Uh-oh. The Jets fans are back.
No.
They're back.
So, Tony, no excuses for Najee.
Hey, Jets fans, we'll trade you Tony Serino for your first round pick next year.
No, no excuses for Matt Canada. That's been written like 1,000 times. If you go to any Steelers site right now, it's like, this is the last chance for Matt Canada.
What happened with Najee Harris?
Najee Harris is under contract for 3 more years or whatever. Matt Canada's in a contract year, baby.
Najee can't run behind Broderick Jones and Darnell, Najee might be in trouble.
Yeah. That onboarding from Philadelphia to Georgia is going to be shocking for some of those guys. From Pennsylvania to Georgia. Like, they got like 18 dudes coming in this draft class from Columbus, Georgia to Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the Eagles have nice facilities, I think.
Oh, no, I'm not saying anything about the facilities.
Oh, I see. You're saying about the city. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Columbus, Georgia is a much different place than Philadelphia.
Yeah, okay, I gotcha.
Cleveland drafted who I wanted at center. Hopefully he's healthy. That's for an anime tree.
That's Whippler.
Yep.
And then the regular 2 here says more than 12 teams will start 2-2.
Okay.
So can you bet on that? Is that a prop?
Is that like a mathematical fallacy or something like that?
Only Tony. Tell us that story in 4 words. Lifetime Cleveland Browns fan.
Aren't you the meat man? Game on 513. Ain't you the need the meat, the brisket man, whatever? You said you was gonna eat Jacoby's meat. Get out of here.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the meat man.
Tony's mic will get super loud and peak for a couple of seconds. Periodically, it's pink.
It's the hat. Fire the hat.
Someone in chat said this as soon as the episode started. I bought a new mic already to be here on Friday. This will be the last episode that happened.
You already bought it.
He can't have his audio go in and out while he's trolling, right? Yeah.
That's right. No, this is too important. These jokes are too good to be ruined by poor audio.
I think it's the hat. I think the hat's causing the static.
Yeah, maybe. But the hat's gonna be here for a while.
Okay, so let's move then
on the inside
to the Bengals. To the Bengals draft. The Bengals draft, Miles Murphy there, right at the end of the first. We were here. We were all live. Thank you for everybody who was here. A guy that I love, the 2nd round pick, DJ Turner from Michigan. My more questionable pick for me for the Bengals was that Jordan Battle, and then they get Charlie Jones, Chase Brown, Andre Lucivas. Is that how you pronounce it, Ace?
It's Yoshivas, I believe.
Yoshivas.
Oh, Yoshivas. Yeah, y'all got him out of Princeton, right?
Yeah.
6'3", runs like 4'4", 4'3".
Yeah.
Nice player.
And then punter, Brad Robbins, and wide receiver, DJ Ivy. So they went receiver heavy. And Ace, before I throw it to you, when I was seeing all these receivers being picked by the Bengals, I mean, people might have freaked out. I don't know. But the only thing I thought was, I wonder if this is ... not this year, but next year, the end of Tyler Boyd, right?
Yep.
And which will make sense. You draft all these guys this year, and then the
Yep.
hope is one of them, whichever, you really don't care, develops as
Yep.
that third guy to potentially replace Tyler Boyd. But anyway, what do you think about your draft class? Who do you think will be the biggest impact in year one?
I mean, everybody's going to say they like their draft class for the most part, a couple of days afterwards. When I actually look at the draft class, there were a lot of people talking about, oh, we're going to get a tight end, this and that.
I know, right?
Dave Lapham, who covers the Bengals, kept telling us, like, the Bengals don't use tight ends like that. And I'm like, what does he mean? He was like, you look at the numbers. Most of the time they're in 11 and this and that. So I look at the numbers. 88% of the time, ladies and gentlemen, the Bengals are in 3 receivers and 1 tight end. They went and signed Irv Smith, right? So, if Irv Smith works out, a backup tight end isn't really playing a huge role. And even when you look at the targeting aspect of it, just in general last year, they were 29th in the league at using the tight end. So there I was a little surprised, but not so surprised just because I heard that going in. Now, when I look at this draft class, it immediately screams to me the issues that they had in the AFC Championship game against Kansas City. Number one, pass rush. They couldn't get to him. Besides Trey Hendrickson, he was the only guy that provided anything. Without him on the field, the pass rush was non-existent. You talk about the 29-30 sacks that they had last year. That's why you had to get Myles Murphy. Myles Murphy, in my opinion, wasn't supposed to be there. I didn't start seeing or hearing about him falling late until later on. So Myles Murphy, I think, is great value. That's another theme of this draft was value. Then you move on to DJ Turner. One of the issues with the Bengals is that also in that game, MVS was killing them. MVS had the speed. They didn't have a second corner once Cheeto went down that was able to step up outside of CTB to help them in that aspect. That is what DJ Turner is able to provide. He also provides a future need as well because you do have Cheeto going into a contract year this season. And so if you're looking for your future at corner, especially after losing to Eli Apple, Trey Flowers, those are just depth guys and guys in there. You need to have someone there. So I feel like that's what they were doing in terms of DJ Turner. That was another guy that at some parts, some people had him going late first round, second. To get him at the end of the second round, I think was a no-brainer. Jordan Battle was the interesting one. I felt like I was in the minority because obviously you lose Jesse Bates and Von Bell. A lot of people are like, okay, we have Dax Hill. They signed Nick Scott, but you don't really know what Nick Scott is. Like you think you know what Nick Scott is, but you don't really know what Nick Scott is. And so when they went and got Jordan Battle, I actually liked that because I wasn't just cool with saying we know exactly what Nick Scott is. We know what Dax Hill is because to be honest, Dax Hill had some questionable plays last year and the little bit that he did get in. He didn't impress, supremely on the football field. So with there being so many questions there, if they felt like Jordan Battle was a guy that was, a high safety that was still there, I had no problem with it. This is where it gets interesting. The Charlie Jones pick, that threw me off, right? Like I expected the Bengals to take a slot receiver in this draft just because it was full of them, but I didn't expect it to be Charlie Jones. But the more that I dig into this tape, I actually watched his game against Penn State versus Joey Porter Jr. He actually was used mostly on the outside. I can see him as an inside receiver. And that also goes back to the AFC Championship game because what happened in that one? Tyler Boyd goes down. As soon as Tyler Boyd went down, all Kansas City did was double Jamar Chase, double T. Higgins. No one, like Trenton Irwin, wasn't able to do anything. And that's what connects the whole Charlie Jones as well as the Andre pick. Is they need that receiver 4 spot to be better. Because there were several moments where when any of the Migos went out, they just weren't able to have that consistency there. So I think that was a big thing for him. And then another thing was the punt returns last year. Trent Taylor, to me, this guy is taking essentially Trent Taylor's job. Trent Taylor just wasn't good enough in the return game. That's why they went there. Chase Brown, one of my favorite picks of the draft, the running back. They needed somebody that could be a home run hitter, and they needed somebody that could pass block. That is what Samaje Perine did. They literally did not have that. As soon as they lost Samaje, Joe Mixon cannot pass block. He just can't do it. It's not something that you want to trust him with. So I think that's what you're getting with Chase Brown. The punter, that's another issue. One of the things when the Chiefs were able to come back on on us in that game is we weren't getting any hang time. So one of those punts in that game was the reason that the Chiefs were able to get in such great field position at the end of the game. So they needed to improve the punter position. The last guy is just like a special team fringe, probably not making the roster guy. But all of these moves that they made, to me, scream like what happened to them in the AFC Championship game. We need to shore these issues up so that they don't occur again.
Gotcha. I said already. Question for you, Taylor Britt. Do you think he's going to play more safety or corner next year?
Oh, he's corner. Taylor Britt is corner for sure. He did play safety in college, and he did play corner in college, but he's definitely going to be a corner for sure.
Gotcha. So the idea here is Daxton Hill will be one of their safeties, and the other safeties up in the air right now.
It's between Nick Scott and Battle. The only thing is, though, is it could go like if Dax Hill isn't ready. Let's say Dax Hill isn't ready. Dax Hill technically could play nickel corner as well. So they got a lot of flexibility with what they want to do there. But if I'm saying it, I would say it's between Jordan Battle and Nick Scott, because you did obviously take Dax Hill with a first-round draft pick last year.
Yeah, and I mean, 1 year under his belt, you hopefully, he learned on the job the couple of the reps, right? I mean, we went in Baltimore through it with Kyle Hamilton. He had a couple of mistakes in the early part of the year, and as the year progressed, he got better. Tony Q, anything you want to say about this Bengals draft?
I hate that they got Cephas. That was another one of my guys, my late round guys I wanted to keep an eye on. Real long, good athlete. Kind of unproven because he played at Princeton, but I think the speed's there, the build's there for a real solid player. Definitely an upgrade from Taylor and who's the other homeboy y'all got down there?
Trenton Irwin, Stanley Morgan, who's only really a special teamer. Yeah, they needed.
What's with the Trent Irwin slander by your own front office? Like Trent Irwin made some.
So
plays.
Trent Irwin probably still makes the roster. He's probably just going to be like fifth or sixth receiver instead of him being the fourth option.
Yeah.
It's just because in that Chiefs game, Tony, he did not like all the other games. He was there, but in that Chiefs game when we needed him, he just couldn't do anything.
I mean, I don't have a ton of thoughts on like guys like Miles Murphy and whatnot, because I watched a little bit of DJ Turner enough to be like, I think he's a solid player. I think he was someone who I was considering for the Steelers, potentially as someone with inside-outside flexibility. But I just think looking at the Bengals, the thing that I'm impressed by with this one is that, when you read Bengals Twitter, it was all about like, let's get a tight end, let's get more weapons, right, let's load this thing up offensively. And I think the Bengals did the right thing here, which is they didn't load up offensively. They went first 3 picks, defense. And look, you got for a team that is, the Migos and Burrow and all of that. I mean, this is still a team that when it comes to crunch time is playing really good defense down the stretch. I mean, they did that, last year. The reason why they beat the Ravens is because that defense made a play and ran a fumble back for a touchdown. Sorry, Sonny. They dominated the line of scrimmage against Josh Allen.
Ran a fumble back. It was Sam Hubbard.
Exactly. Of all people.
Three knee braces and all. That man got 3 knee braces, 2 knees. I don't know how that happened, but he outran everybody. Mark Andrews was huffing gas trying to catch up with him and still couldn't do nothing about it.
But I mean, that's the thing, right? This is a team that lost a bunch of talent defensively, and so they needed to recharge again. I mean, this is a team that doesn't, I don't think they've scored 30 points in a playoff game yet, have they? So this is still a team that they have to, they understand this is I'm not saying the defense-led team, but defense is really important. This is not like a shootout style of team. Maybe it gets there, and I think it probably, it's only a matter of time, really. The player I did like, I was shocked he was still on the board when I saw Chase Brown was taken in the 4th or 5th round by the Bengals. I thought, how the hell is Chase Brown? Chase Brown was one of my favorite players. He played for Illinois. I guess the problem for him, I was looking it up. I thought maybe he tested poorly. No, he ran a 4.4. He was tested just fine. I guess the big problem for him is he fumbles all the time. It's like 1 out of every 81 touches he fumbles. That's a little
career fumbles or something.
Yeah. That's a little interesting. There's also a little bit of like tread on the tire type thing with that running back, because he ran the ball like 350 times last year, which probably made him fall. But like you said, Ace, I like him a lot. I think he's someone who could be. I think he could be a starter in the league eventually, because you look at, he's got the athletic profile. He's a big play threat. If he's good, he's good as a receiver out of the backfield. That's a 3-down player. If he can develop. So I really like that pick. And again, I I use this term too often this year, but like directionally correct is how I would say the Bengals draft went. Was taking defense above offense here, I think is the right thing considering how this team played in 22 and the talent that they lost this offseason and what they need to reacquire. It's on the defensive side of the ball right now.
Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs have similar strategy, right? And in the case of the Bengals, they haven't paid their offense yet. But when you pay your offense, something has to give, right? And
right,
obviously, Joe Burrow can affect the offense, so you have to pay the O-line because you need to protect that major asset that is called Joey Burrow. You're gonna play at least Chase, probably T. Higgins as well, right? That's a lot of money between the O-line, quarterback, and receivers right there.
Yeah.
So if you're not gonna have the money to put on defense, because I mean it's a cap league, then, right? You have to draft them and develop, and hopefully they can just substitute, right? If Myles Murphy can in a year from now potentially substitute one of the edge rushers, right? Well, that's one edge rusher you don't have to pay, right? And then maybe you draft another guy. Cheeto, if he comes back and plays balls out, he's gonna be in a contract year. Well, if you cannot play him, well, now you have between
DJ Turner
and DJ Turner, yeah, yep. Right. So that's what you have to do. That's what the Chiefs has done. The Chiefs basically has said, well, we're gonna pay Patrick Mahomes, we're gonna pay our O-line, we're gonna pay the tight end. Defense, you know what? We're just gonna draft guys. We're just gonna draft guys, and same thing with receivers, and hopefully all these guys are good enough, right? They went defensive edge rusher again in the first round last year. They did it too.
One more thing before we move on from the Bengals, because they didn't take an offensive lineman. Is there any movement in the like standoff or whatever that's happening between Jonah and the Bengals? Has there been any movement there?
Not really. So what the Bengals did before this whole Jonah Williams thing is they added. So they have Jackson Carman, who they're going to move over to right tackle, right? You got Lyle that's coming back from an injury. You've got Jonah Williams, and then you also have Cody Ford. So they signed Cody Ford as well. They expect them to battle it out at right tackle. Jonah, I don't know what he's going to do. I mean, nobody really wants Jonah like that. A couple teams apparently were rumored to have called by Tony Pauline. The Jags were one before they took Anton. I think another one was the Jets. They just signed Billy Turner today. I don't think there's a market for Jonah Williams. It's like, dude, in my opinion, it's like play right tackle. Honestly, I don't really want him to start. That's just my personal opinion. But if I was his agent, I would say start. Jawan Taylor just got paid to be a left tackle in Kansas City without them even seeing him at left tackle. So I think it's probably going to go into training camp, but I think eventually he's just going to suit up and play.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the best thing that can happen for the Bengals, and not that we're wishing anybody to get hurt, but if a player on a contender, an O-lineman gets hurt,
Jonah has a high chance of getting hurt. He's been hurt like every single year except mine. That's not. If you were a gambling man and you were like Jonah Williams injuries, it's probably at like minus 200 right now. Chance that Jonah Williams gets hurt.
Do you think at the end would they just keep him and shelve him, or would they cut him to just?
I think at the end, how I see it planning out is if he loses the battle to Jackson Carman or any of these guys, I think that the Bengals will hold him until somebody's offensive lineman goes down in camp or during the season, and then try to ship him off that way. Because there's no way you can pay $12 million for a backup. You can't keep a $12 million backup on your bench. That's just crazy.
When people were talking about the Browns keeping a $20 million backup quarterback.
Good times,
man. You know what? I'm happy to meet the thing I could be the maddest about is Siaki Ika. You know, I live in a good time. Yeah. There used to be like I was this mad about the 8th overall pick, but the 98th overall pick, you know what? Hey man, I'll live with it.
What was with by the way, we had an interdivision trade this weekend.
Oh yeah, Ravens and Browns, you know, you traded with your originators.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that trade soon, but let's talk about the Browns. Cute. I'm trying to find the Browns like little picture with all their picks.
You gotta scroll way down. They didn't pick till the 90s.
The first pick wasn't until 72. We ain't got no picture. You gotta just Google that.
No. I'm looking at their Twitter page. to get their little graphics.
Sonny, if you don't mind, can I give my thoughts on the Browns draft before I get out of here? Because I gotta leave in about 5 minutes. I think the Browns had a really good draft. I mean, honestly, if you looked at their draft and you didn't know that they didn't have a first round pick or a second round pick, you wouldn't be able to tell. I mean, DeJuan Jones, there's the risk. I think the reward outweighs the risk. Yes. So I've talked to people close to the DeJuan Jones situation. This is when he was on the Steelers visit. The only concerns with DeJuan Jones is just kind of the personality, the work ethic, where his head is at. But when you cut on the film on this dude, he was one of the best tackles in the class, like easily. Like if he didn't have weight issues or any of that, like responsibility issues, he'd be one of the top tackles in the draft. I think that he's going to show up as that guy because when you watch him on the tape, it's crazy. The arm length, the wingspan, all of that is crazy. You see it on the tape. People have a hard time getting around him. You know, he's probably going to play at 370. This is the guy that I really wanted for the Bengals. They got caught up in the whole weight thing. I think the Browns got a really good pick with that one. And then you talk about Cedric Tillman as well. He was one of the receivers that I feel like was slept on in this class. He adds something to that receiver room that they have there. Really like the Cedric Tillman pick. Really like the Whippler pick. To get Whippler in the 6th round is just kind of crazy. So I really like what the Browns did, especially given that they only had day 2 and day 3 picks. You wouldn't know if you just looked and saw like, oh, they got DeJuan Jones and Cedric Tillman. Like, oh, they must have had, you know, some other picks. But I think that the Browns did pretty good in this draft, despite and Isaiah McGuire. How could I forget him? Yeah, and Thompson Robinson. Yeah, the Browns did their thing in this draft, despite the circumstances.
I noticed you left the name off the list.
Who did I leave off the list?
Cameron?
No, Siaki.
No.
Siaki. Look, I haven't dove into the Siaki Ika film, but hearing what Q said, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just say that was a bad
I watched that film.
I heard what you said, so I'm like, I'm gonna just go with that.
I watched that film because I thought, I mean, the Ravens could have used interior D lineman, and then I saw his film, like, nope, take it out.
Yeah, he is. I don't understand.
Is he supposed to be a nose? What is he supposed to be?
Yeah,
nose.
He's like Danny
Shelton. After Mozzie Smith is gone, there wasn't really anybody there, right? You guys
He's not even supposed to be a nose. This is what's blowing my mind. They didn't draft him to be a nose. They drafted him to run 3.
Well, I'm saying what's the best case scenario for Siaki Ika? He's like a nose. Like he's just like a you know.
You see a lot of dudes like Siaki Ika in the XFL. Like
he just
it's like
leans on the center, you know, because he has short arms, so he can't actually get his arms on the center. But if he leans on the center, he's a space mover or he's a space taker.
I mean,
unless a guard has long arms, then he's screwed.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, unless the other players have any athleticism whatsoever, in which case Ika is going backwards.
Well, he can be like a speed bump, right? Like
the only thing that would have made this class even better for the Browns is if who took Hyatt before the Browns could get him.
Oh yeah, I think that was what
I thought the Chargers were going to take Hyatt.
It was the Giants. These freaking morons. Because I have a feeling that the Browns would have taken him at 74, and I would have been able to make Dre Archer jokes for the next 5 years. I mean, my guy was this close to making another 5 years of Dre Archer jokes.
Yeah, it was.
But I actually like Cedric Tillman. I think Cedric Tillman's not a bad player at all.
We might have backed into the right pick on that.
They actually did. Yeah, it's one of those like, oopsies, we made a good pick. Yeah. I noticed that they got their new starting quarterback in this class too. By the way, whenever they figure out that Deshaun is washed. They got DTR to back him up now. So
you know what though, DTR is still a better quarterback prospect than Kenny Pickett.
Okay, well, you know that's like your opinion.
If DTR were in last year's draft, would he go to the first round with Kenny Pickett?
He would have got number 1 overall. Actually, there's one player in this class for the Browns. All right, see, Ace. There's one player for this. By the way, DeJuan Jones was off the Steelers board. I had some inside info there that Mike Tomlin hated DeJuan Jones, but I do actually like Isaiah McGuire. McGuire's a good player. He's a physical player at the edge rush position. In fact, is there a chance? Q, have they talked about maybe kicking him inside at all? McGuire?
They're going to be versatile with all their edge players, right? In that wide 9 system. And he's bigger than what they've been going for. Like if you look at like the guys outside of Myles Garrett that they've looked for that edge position, it's like Ogbonia Okonkwo, who's a much smaller guy, like 250, 240. Yeah. So I think the ideal is we're going to kick him inside, maybe have him play a little bit of outside edge, but he's probably going to be playing closer to the guard than he is going to be to the tight end.
And that makes sense because he's a strong dude, man. Like some of the worst tape that Broderick Jones had last year was going up against Isaiah McGuire.
He kind of did a good job against Broderick.
Yeah, he did. He did. Yeah, he gave Broderick some problems. That was one of see, Broderick, you can't just win athleticism at every play, man. You got to learn something. So I like that pick a lot. I mean, overall, like Ace said, you don't have a first round pick, you don't have a second round pick. You're not gonna have, you're not gonna hit a home run in the class. But for what they had, right? Given that they had a couple third round picks and a couple fourth round picks, I thought the Browns did fine. The question is, can they end up with like one or two starters out of this draft? Because when you have a class like this, where it's, you have no first or second round picks, you end up with one starter out of that. It's probably a good enough class. If you end up with two, that's like, that is almost a home run, right?
Yeah. You can argue that Tillman can be like a wide receiver 3 for them.
Tillman is a weird one right now I forget who, I don't want to steal this thought because there was another Browns fan who I was listening to who was making this thought. But anyway, he was saying it was
like a red zone target. He can be a red zone target.
He's a no. But what he's saying is like, hey, I don't really understand where Cedric Tillman fits right now on a team that already has Amari Cooper. God, it's a British guy. You might know.
Yeah,
it's a British Browns fan.
Jack Duffin.
Jack Duffin, that's him. He was saying like, yeah, Cedric Tillman, like maybe he makes sense long term, but like right now on a team where you already have Amari Cooper. Like, does this really fit as a number 3?
Day two is hard to put a guy. Yeah, you're just putting like it makes sense.
Well, even if that, like, he's not the same kind of player as Amari Cooper. Like, that's one of those where size and weight profile kind of get you locked into a box. But Amari Cooper, he's bigger, but he's not physical like that, right? Like, he's a physical route runner, but he's not necessarily physical with the ball in his hands and not necessarily physical at the point of attack there. Like, Cedric Tillman's a different style of player than him. I think he's more of a replacement for Donovan Peoples-Jones because as much as people like Donovan Peoples-Jones, a lot of the spectacular catch stuff that he does is because he's so slow out of his breaks, and it drives coaches crazy how he plays. That I think they're trying to move off of that before they have to pay him next year. Yeah. And I think they would like to get more explosive on that side. I think they brought in Elijah Moore. Here's my analogy for the Browns wide receiver core. Elijah Moore is brought in to be the home run hitter, right? He might not be the single double guy, but he's going to be high risk, high reward. He's going to hit home runs for this team. Amari Cooper, he's a leadoff guy. Get a double, you know what I mean? Get a single, he can get on base. He can hit a home run if he needs to, but he's double guy. And then like Donovan Peoples-Jones and Cedric Tillman, they're going to be clean up where it's like try to get whatever you can in there. And I think eventually Cedric Tillman comes into that role where he's also like kind of this quasi home run hitter, but also somebody who can get you a first down if you throw him a screen pass because he's so physical with it. We'll see what happens. But I think that those two can coexist. And also Amari Cooper's probably got 1 year left on this team anyway. So
yeah. That's what the guy was saying. Jack was saying, he was saying like he's probably only got 1 year of Amari Cooper anyway. So this isn't like a huge.
Yeah, if you look at the Browns right now for next year, I think the projection right now is they're 75 over the cap limit.
You gotta hit that cheat code with the restructure.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're going to be
that Deshaun money's at like 69. Now we're gonna kick that down, make it 89 next year, and then pay it one day.
That's why they drafted a kicker last year because they need to kick that can very hard down the road.
Andrew Berry, the best kicker on the team, man. He's been kicking cans down the road for years. You know what I mean? Like, why can't he kick a football like he kicks a can?
I did watch. I happened to watch. I happened to watch the Siaki Ika pick, right? With
on Q stream.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there were thousands of you there. Like I know y'all were there.
I went back and watched it after the fact. I didn't see it live. I watched it.
No, I watched it. I watched it after the fact too. But the thing is, what I was gonna say is the only thing that would have broke Q a little more would have been that instead of Siaki, they would have go a punter. It would have gone.
No. Siaki was the one that could break me.
Yeah, like, I think it was.
The punter wouldn't have broke me. Like, who cares at that point? LOL, we took a punter. That's funny. No, Siaki Ika's a pick that I'm gonna actually have to hear people defend.
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that is a serious pick. The only thing that could have hurt me more was the Steelers would have traded to the spot after that, took Adeborwe, Anatomia right after it. It's like, yeah. Screw you, Quincy. You know what I mean? There you go. Like if the only way I could have been hurt more is if Keanu Benton and Marvin Mims were on the board, and they did that. And I feel like they would have, man. I feel like they would have.
Oh man, Mims went early, right?
He did. I think second round.
Mims went like at like 50 or 60.
Yeah.
And so did Keanu Benton. So wishful thinking that they would be there at 72.
Yeah, Keanu is someone who I think the Steelers might have taken at 32 if Joey Porter wasn't there. By the way, what a crazy 18 hours or however long it was between after the first round ended.
Yeah, because you were like, they're gonna trade. You're like, they're gonna trade. There's no way they're gonna keep him.
Yeah. But can I talk about this DeJuan Jones pick real quick?
Oh yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Fascinating player. Absolutely fascinating. Because there is something that was so off-putting about this man that he went in the fourth round. There clearly is. It's nothing I can see because the tape is just magnifico. Like, it is some beautiful stuff. Like, if he doesn't love to play football and he doing that good, like, it's not even, I'm just bigger than everybody kind of offensive line take. Like, he got an actual, like, hand snatch trap throwdown move. Like, he's kind of skilled for a guy that athletic and big. But what happened that a dude that big, not just that big, because, okay, 6'9's big, but there's a lot of big tackles that can't play. He can actually play, doesn't shy away from physicality. And then here's the most important thing. Longer than the planet Earth. Like, what in the world did he do to make people just completely turned off with him? Now, I have an ideal, right? We know his visit with Pittsburgh went terrible, and we know that Mike Tomlin's word's going to carry weight within those circles. Y'all aware of what happened to him at the Senior Bowl?
No.
Y'all ain't heard the story? Well,
No.
I know this happened for a fact because I know several people who were at the Senior Bowl. He had a great day one at the Senior Bowl. They never saw him again after that. He disappeared. They could not find him after that.
Quasi participant of the Senior Bowl.
He showed up to day one, manhandled Anthony Carter and every top pick in the draft that was at there, and said, "Well, I'm out." It told nobody.
Job's done.
Told nobody.
Let me go play basketball.
Yeah.
Nobody. No, he didn't even tell his agent.
Oh my God.
Completely weird individual. But hey, sometimes weird dudes just good at football. I'm going to take the gamble that that's what it is with him because understandably something went wrong in the draft process when people dug and found out who he was, that they were like, oh my God. And it's not like anything criminal came out. Like for something non-criminal, non-drug test related to make somebody drop is like, this is a guy people thought would be in the first round, dropped to the fourth round off of nothing that had to do with any of that. Like, honestly, he wouldn't have dropped this far if he had a charge. Yeah. Like, if that were the only problem with him. Something rubbed people the wrong way. Now, that's the kind of fall that you can get lucky on. It's like, hey, maybe he was just a quirky dude and they just read him wrong and it just rubbed people the wrong way and had a domino effect. I mean, Orlando Brown Jr. was similar to this, right? Where he was kind of a quirky dude coming out.
Well, and measurements. His measurements. Remember we talk about he barely pressed anything. That and then he was slow and a little overweight. So that.
I'm forgiveful for guys who can't bench press with long arms. That's a different exercise when you got long arms. Siaki ain't got no long arms, man. But anyways, back to the main point. That's why DeJuan Jones is fascinating because it seems like either that works or it doesn't. And for a fourth round pick, that's the right place to take a dude like that. But if that works, and we're not even talking like an Anthony Richardson, if he learns how to play football, like if he's just motivated.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
He might be the best offensive lineman on your team if he like gets it together on a team with great offensive linemen already. And could you imagine him as tackle eligible? You know what I mean? On that roll.
It's a big one. It's even bigger now, but rumor has it.
On a running start, imagine being Roquan Smith on a run fit and you see him on a running start in your gap. Like, what you about to do? Like, so, and he's long, so you can't even get away from him. So, like, I mean, all-time measurable guys, the tape's good. The real question is like,
the tape is first round, yeah.
It's like, man, what did you do?
I wonder if the interview. The interview is probably
not just the interview. Look, here's what I heard from. This this guy was completely out of shape. He showed up to his pro day completely out of shape, didn't take it like Q said it, like the kind of person who would just leave the Senior Bowl after one day, right? Not taking the process seriously is the kind of person who rumor has it Mike Tomlin, right? Mike was like, what the hell are you doing? Right. And like, it wasn't just we don't think this guy's competitive enough, or like the Christian Gonzalez thing. It was like that DeJuan was not taking the process seriously. That he was going to dinner with Tomlin, but not taking it seriously at all, disrespectful to the process. That I think took him off of, like, I know for a fact the Steelers did not have him on the board, period. They took him off the board.
Sometimes, I know this is a different sport. This is the best example I could think of. Gilbert Arenas did that to a lot of people. Yeah. And that worked out for a couple years for the Washington Wizards. But also, that dude could also be, he could also be Gerald Wallace or somebody like that, right? Like, it could go either way with a dude like that. I have no idea, like, clearly he rubbed people the wrong way, but the tape is worth like a 4th round pick. Like,
for sure. It's a low risk move.
It is like, but like, I mean, he seems like the type of dude that can't be on a losing team, right? Like, you can't be out here losing a lot. Like, it's kind of like a Robert Nkemdiche situation where it's like, oh, you got to really put this guy in the ultra right situation. And he's the type of guy that coaches are going to hate. Like, I don't think that the Browns offensive line coach wanted him. Like, coaches hate this dude. But GMs are going to love him because, I mean, my God, right? So we'll see. Maybe he has a turnaround, or maybe he just is really good. He's the type of dude also, not sure if I want to take him on a extend his contract kind of situation. If he does good.
Yeah, right? Like, he's a contract year guy. Yeah.
It might be great till he gets paid kind of situation.
Yeah.
Ultimately, very fascinating.
Yeah. A couple super chats we have here. Look at the 49ers and 2 Super Bowl participants last year, and that will show you what the Steelers' identity is going to be moving forward.
I disagree. I mean, not the Chiefs. I mean, I understand what he's saying, that the Chiefs ran the ball more last year, but that the Steelers are not trying to be the Chiefs. The Steelers are probably closer to being like a cross between the Eagles and Niners. The Niners don't run as much 12. I think the Steelers are going to run a shit ton of 12. And the Steelers are probably going to run the ball at the level of the Eagles. They want to be physical, right? I mean, like, in a league where, here's what I like about the Steelers. In a league where we are going pass happy, the Steelers are going to try and be a more run heavy offense. In a league where defensively the league is going to this too high shell, right? Remember how much last year we talked about like cover two, right? The Steelers like, yeah, we're going to play press, right? We're going to play press cover 3 with a single high safety. Like that, that's interesting to me. Again, the identity of, we want to be a Zach. We talk all the time about how the pendulum is eventually going to switch back, right? The Steelers are going to, I mean, the Steelers are going to physically move that pendulum backwards because that's what they want to be. They want to be the biggest pain in the ass on your roster, right? You're not going to, Mike Tomlin's thesis is, we're just going to be the biggest pains in the ass. You're going to come in, you're going to play a totally different style than you see on a week-to-week basis.
So over under.
Oh, yeah. Also, Siaki Ika showed up to his pro day 20 pounds heavier than he did at the combine in like 3 weeks.
Yeah. Well, there's rumors that he was over 400 pounds. Yeah, there was rumors that he was like close to or over 400 pounds.
You're talking about Siaki Ika, right?
No, Siaki. DeJuan Jones.
DeJuan Jones, that's fine. Like, we know him.
Oh, you're talking about Siaki.
Siaki Ika also had that problem.
Oh, okay. Well, cool. Yeah, great.
And the tape ain't as good.
Well,
as
the Browns have a type. Like we're talking about the Steelers have an identity. The Browns have an identity.
Remember what Q said?
I'm just glad they don't have Jadeveon Clowney on the team anymore. Because you put DeJuan Jones next to him, he might learn the wrong lessons about life, dog. Like,
Q said, like, I want some beef in that middle of the D line. You guys,
I should have been careful with what I said. I want 300 pounds in that D line, not 330 or 345.
395.
Unless their name's Jordan Davis.
Tony looks like Dark Helmet. Get him a styrofoam cup.
Love that.
Nova Stone. Once Peterson, Houston is back, we're gonna be number 1 defense. But Nova Stone, I thought you were a Niners fan now. Like, you have me confused. You're like all over the place.
Back. You must have liked the draft class. He's a big Zay guy.
But remember, he's not a big Lamar guy.
Nova Stone got more teams than Drake.
Right up there, yeah.
Nova Stone also says, do you think the Ravens still have worst wide receiver room?
We will talk about that during our position rankings.
That's true.
Coming in July.
That is true.
But yes, but spoilers, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
It all depends. I don't like to rank the rookies, but you guys made me rank the rookies. So
I also don't. I was the don't rank the rookie guy, and you guys made me rank the rookies. So
Q making baseball
you
references.
guys screwed up because now I'm gonna
YG
rank the Steelers 1 and everything.
I'm a soccer guy in the summer, y'all. I'm a soccer guy in the summer. You know, I got my Atlanta United.
Oh, that's right. You went to an MLS game.
Yeah, I traded. You know, I wasn't really into baseball the last like 10 years of ever since I graduated high school, stopped playing baseball. I haven't really cared about baseball that much. And, you know, I went to that soccer game. It was like, oh, this is cool. This is fun. You know, I'm pretty sure it's not high level when I was watching, but I don't know the difference. It was not. So, MLS you know, hey, you know, it come on at the times that I'm awake. You know what I mean? Like,
pick a Premier League team.
I'm not. I don't know nothing about Europe, dog. I'm not about to be out here cheering for Paris. Like, well, why? What connection do I have out here?
I have a team, Tony. Finally,
do you have a team now?
Which team is Mbappe on? PSG. I'm with them.
Yeah, Juventus. Man City.
You're a City guy. All right.
Man City. My daughter said, "Papi, I think I want to root for Man City." It's like, okay,
Real.
There you go. Well, congratulations on the title.
Real Madrid, I heard they're pretty good, right?
Like, yes, Real Madrid is very good.
You know what I mean? Front running completely.
There was a debate in my chat or in my Twitter mentions over the weekend because Tottenham is just an absolute disaster. That's my team. Whether or not Tottenham is more of the Browns of the Premier League or the Falcons of the Premier League. And it's, you know, there's good points on both sides. So, Q, we'd welcome you over here on the Tottenham bandwagon if you want to join a Premier League team.
No, I ain't doing that for free. Like, what you talking about?
You want to join the? No. Are they more Cleveland or Atlanta?
Like 6-1, I wouldn't be rooting for them. You know what I mean?
Like, you're a Browns fan who lives in the Atlanta area, so
double connection.
That's your connection. Yeah.
What?
So come to Tottenham.
I'm a Browns fan who what?
Who lives in the Atlanta area, right? I mean, you know, you're in that area, so come on down.
How's that a connection to Tottenham?
Tottenham is either the Browns of the Premier League or the Falcons of the Premier League.
No thank you. I request the trade. I would John Elway myself off of this draft assignment. I am not. Nope. I'm going to a winning team. I'm rooting. You know what? I'm gonna be that guy. I'm gonna root for players. You know what I mean? I'm rooting for Mbappe or whoever the top. Like, show me the top 5 MVP rankings. I'm rating for all them dudes. I don't even know what position they play. You know what I mean?
It sure seems like every player that was dropping got picked by the Steelers, Ravens, Browns, and Eagles. And
skip the last one. No, skip that one.
Okay, sorry.
Yep.
Okay. So, Ravens. That's the one that we were missing.
Ban that dude from chat.
Yeah, no, I'm on it. I got you.
Sorry, I didn't.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay, so Ravens is the last team that we're gonna review here. I had the graphic here. Your screen.
Yeah, the Ravens went wide receiver. They went with a tiny guy. Sonny.
They went with the tiny guy, but
he's got a big heart.
As I said, they won. I love the aggressiveness, right? Like Bateman, you guys know I like Bateman. But the one thing I don't like about Bateman, he doesn't play aggressive. I like Duvernay. He doesn't play aggressive. Like, where's our Anquan Bolding? Where is our Steve Smith, right? TJ for us was an aggressive receiver for that year, but Mason, right? Those are all older guys. Even Hollywood Brown, he played well for us when he was here. Smaller receiver too, but he was not aggressive. This dude is aggressive, and I love that. I love receivers that are aggressive. Okay, saying that, we reacted to that pick here live. For those of you can go back. We reacted to all 3 teams' picks. Trenton Simpson, I absolutely love that pick because I knew PQ wasn't going to be for the Ravens, right? I mean, I told you guys there was a rumor that they might trade PQ. They might still trade PQ. I don't think they should trade him, but they might trade him. As I think Tony was the one that mentioned, he is like, somebody asked me, you like that? He is PQ. The thing is, PQ got elevated by Roquan Smith. If Simpson's gonna play like PQ is, let's say from next year on, because you kept PQ for 3 years on the cheap, sign me up. Because PQ, the best version of PQ was with Roquan Smith, right? You can play more freely. The dude is fast. He can hit hard. He is what you want in a middle linebacker. And you pick him at the end of the third round. I love the pick. I was in it. This is the pick I don't like. Travis Robinson. Travis Robinson. The Canadian guy. Nothing against the Canadian guys.
Do I need to get my hat?
No, but
send it to you.
The thing is, he is a project. I would have liked if they traded up and got Q's guy AA, right?
No.
But
No.
The thing with AA is he's more of an outside, right? Like a legit pass rush.
I think he could play inside, to be honest.
But I think this guy that they drafted is legit inside guy.
Who is that dude? He used to play, and I think it was like Fresno or something like that. He was one of these like big linebacker hybrids, and they're like, he can play 3 levels, and he's 6'6", 260. Oh, what was his name? You remember what I'm talking about? It was like a couple years ago in that draft.
Yeah, I vaguely remember, but I don't know. I couldn't put a name to it.
Yeah, well, he clearly hasn't had a career that panned out, but like everybody was high on him, and I remember I was like, he's big, but he plays so weak. But
yeah, in the case of Robinson, I think he's up there. I think he is. And the Ravens, to be fair to the Ravens, they always have a guy in the 4th round pick that does good in 2 years from now. Not this year, maybe not even next year, the following year. If you check Washington, right, for us last year, he played really good. He was in his 3rd year. Maravike, and so you can keep going, right? We have these guys that we drafted. We kick him in the inside, and they're a good, solid player. I think he might. I mean, that's the hope for me. But if you ask me what is the pick that I hated the most, that's my pick.
Yeah.
The next guy, Caillou Blue Kelly. I like him a lot. If you go watch his tape, I like him a lot.
Do you like him, or you just like he has a cool last name? He's a guy that's a cool name.
He has a cool whole name, not the last name.
No, he's got a cool name.
I actually told my wife to like, you know what? If I ever had
the Ravens really be drafting off of like the name value. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The Caillou, yeah, he has a hell of a name, but I like his tape.
When McGinnis comes in, we know what team he's coming.
Yeah.
Now this is also recency bias, right? Because I watched the tape after they got drafted, so for him specifically, I didn't watch the tape before he got drafted. But I went and watched the tape, which, to be fair, the good tape, right? They said watch him against London, right? Hell of a tape against London. Against your boy Addison, really good tape against Addison. And you got him, was it the 5th round? No.
Blue Kelly was a 5th round, yeah.
Yeah, 5th round. Great pick. Now, we have a bunch of corners because last year we drafted 2 and we drafted him. Now, the philosophy for the Ravens is you cannot have enough corners because remember that one year we were so bare on corners that we just bring in people from the street directly to the field. I think after that, they just say, okay, we're just going to have like 10 corners. I like it. I think, can he be an impactful player day one now? Can he be a solid corner maybe in 3 years? Yes. Right? Yeah. So it's similar to Averett, right? Similar to Averett. Then our next pick, I cannot pronounce his name. I cannot pronounce his name. Very long name. I don't know much about him. He seems like Falele, like last year, right? Yeah. Big, massive tackle, and their project, both of them. We'll see if any of them can win it. The idea here is, I think, how the Ravens are approaching is they got Morgan Moses, played really well as a right tackle. I think Morgan Moses last year is this year. Who's going to be the right tackle of the future? Is it going to be Falele, who we drafted last year? Is it going to be this dude that I cannot pronounce his name? Hopefully it's Falele. I can't pronounce his last name, so I'm going to go Falele. But anyway, independently, these 2 dudes are going to be battling out for the right tackle, not this year, the following year. Falele played decently in spots for a 4th-round project last year. And then the last pick I love. Not only because what he did, that's for 4 knees on the combine. If you go watch his tape, he was a really good guard. I don't know where they had him projected.
I mean, I prefer my guards to have an ACL, but sure.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. But he's not playing this year, right?
No. Yeah, he's a red shirt.
Because so right now this year, there's a battle for the left guard, right? We don't have our left guard left, Ben Powers. You drafted Ben Cleveland 2 years ago for him to be the left guard. Boom. You're assuming he's going to be your left guard. But who's going to be your right guard next year? Because I do think this is Seiler's last year.
Yeah.
Ideally.
Little O-line rebuild going on.
Yeah, but that's roughly how you want your O-line to be rebuilt, right? You want to draft the guy, have him a year or so to develop, unless it's a first-round pick. But have him a year or so to develop so you can plug it in, right? Now you have your backup right tackle. Linderbaum did not have the year to develop because he was a first-round pick, but you have him, right? He played well last year. Stanley's there. Your left guard is going to be the competition this year, and you have Seiler this year.
Yeah.
But if he or Nice can be your starting right guard next year as a 7th-round pick, you take it.
Yeah.
You take it. I think overall it's a good draft. Very few picks from previous years. But still, overall, a good draft. I can't complain. First 2 picks, I think it can be impactful. Obviously, Say is going to be impactful. I think they won. You expect that from your first-round pick. But Simpson, I think you will see him as a special teamer. But if Patrick Queen gets traded, you will see him a lot in the field. Because this dude was also covering as a nickel, right?
Yeah.
So he, like, I love his athleticism and overall talent. He needs to be more disciplined. He does it literally. I mean, you say he was PQ, but he does the same shit, right? He over pursues the play. If you tell me what is the worst trait of Simpson is he over pursues the play, he sometimes misses because he's going.
Well, he doesn't understand his keys. He understands where the ball is, and that's he's just I see ball, I get ball. Yeah, which there's a value in that. There is a value for those guys, right? The run and hit guys.
Yeah, but in the third round,
hit ball.
Yeah, in the third round, you take that.
That's what Michael Parsons was coming out of college too. Like, so I mean, like, I think we need to be more open to the ideal that these guys that come out of college that are these 3-level, oh, he could be so athletic or he's so versatile, he could do that you really need to focus in on one position in which they have a strength in, because it's kind of like buying an all-in-one laptop, right? When you buy a laptop that's going to be a tablet and a laptop, it's going to be worse at both. And when you try to make a linebacker, a safety, and a linebacker and an edge rusher, he's going to be worse at both of those things. So, like, with Trent Simpson, it's like, okay, figure out, like, what is he? Is he a big safety? Is he a linebacker? Is he an edge rusher? And just play him there, right? I think one of the big mistakes the Browns have made with JOK was trying to have him play too many different positions. Just let him play will linebacker and let him be great at that, right? He can do some other stuff, or if he's asked to, maybe he could be like a Tampa 2 linebacker if you need him to, because he's athletic, he can carry the seam. But you know, it's just about managing that. And it's like, I think the Cowboys kind of figured it out, right? Because we were all kind of like, LOL, Michael Parsons is going to be the same thing as Isaiah Simmons. And it wasn't, because they were like, you're going to rush the ball.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing with this Trenton Simpson pick is it's different from the Patrick Queen thing, because, you know, this is where value comes into play, right? You know, Patrick Queen was a 1st-round pick. Trenton Simpson's a 3rd-round pick. If they end up having the exact same career, Trenton Simpson's 1,000 times better at pick, right? I mean, it goes back, you know, like Terrell Edmonds. Terrell Edmonds is a 1st-round pick. Everyone's like, what'd you do there, right? I mean, he ended up being a 5-6 year starter, but still, it's like, well, he wasn't really the impact player. If Terrell Edmonds was a 3rd-round player, it's an unbelievable pick. So I think with Simpson, it's just about, you know, he's got to figure out, he's got to figure out how to play in the NFL. I mean, at the end of the day, he's got to figure out, like, how do you actually play inside linebacker?
And that's why I think the Ravens should keep Patrick Queen's 1 year.
Oh yeah,
and he can be the 3rd.
Yeah, of course. You're not cutting Patrick Queen to play a 3rd-round pick.
No. You wouldn't cut him. There's rumors
trade him.
There is a rumor that if somebody would offer him a 2nd-round pick, they would trade Patrick Queen.
I don't know that I do that either, because their defense was so good at the end of last year.
I agree.
2nd-round pick?
Like, that's what they were looking for.
Yeah. Okay, if somebody gives you a 2nd-round pick, you get that.
Nah, I don't think you do.
I agree with
you're in a window. You're in a window.
You're playing really good defense.
Window.
Man, you'll be fine.
Here's the best thing I heard about this Bengals draft class. It has absolutely nothing to do with the Ravens draft class. It was said by Nate Tice during the Athletic show. He said, you know, the thing with Zay Flowers, this Zay Flowers pick, is that if he were taken 2 years ago in a Greg Roman offense, we would all go, I mean, whatever. Okay, I mean, what are they going to do with him? I don't know. We're going to watch him do the same shit we watch every other guy do. But the fact that the fact that they have Greg Roman now, we all look at that Zay Flowers pick and it's like, now that's interesting with Lamar.
Monk,
okay, now
Monk. The fact that they have Monk.
Yeah, Todd Monken.
Todd Monken.
Yeah.
The fact that Todd Monken means, okay, now that gets a little more interesting, right? How are they going to use a guy like Zay Flowers? You can do a lot of things with him. He is supremely athletic, and like Sonny said, he plays like a guy who's, Zay Flowers should be in a 6'4" body, right? That's what he plays like. Just so happens he's 5'9".
I'm telling you.
Is that real?
What?
Did Kevin Zeitler sign with the Steelers?
No. That's new straight. That's what's his face? Ace. Ace is in chat saying that's what's going to happen next year.
Oh, I was about to say. I was like,
man, Kevin Tyler's with the Ravens still on the contract. Look, if say Flowers and Quincy Johnson can do a Saiyan, the Super Saiyan when they do the
yeah
top 3 receiver, that body with that aggressiveness and the ability to make plays, that's what you need.
We call that in Cleveland Cedric Tillman.
George Pickens.
That would be a Julio Jones type of receiver if you can marry those two.
Yeah.
But receivers.
I mean, as far as like the rest of the draft, the day 3 guys, I don't have whole lot of opinion, right? I mean, I know you didn't like the Tavius Robinson thing. It's a bit, it's like it's a 4th round pick though. I mean, I have similar thoughts about the Herbig pick, because the crazy thing about Herbig and with the Steelers is that everyone thought with a guy as small as Herbig, like, okay, they're going to move him inside. They're not. They're going to keep him at edge, and it's like
but it's a speed rusher, right?
Yeah, but like, what you could okay? Are you ever playing him in with? Are you playing Herbig ever if there's even a chance the team's going to run the ball?
No. He is your special teamer, probably.
Yes. Okay. That's not an edge rusher, Sonny. That's not an edge rusher.
It's because of nepotism.
It's like 3rd and 12. It better be 3rd and 12. Yeah.
Yeah, Schobert.
Yeah. So that's
what Joe Schobert was, right? He was an edge rusher coming out of Wisconsin and then got moved.
And then they flipped him. But again, 4th round pick, like, okay, I have some problems with how this 4th round pick projects. It's not that big a deal. I like you said, Sonny, I mean, look, you didn't have a 2nd round pick. Your 2nd round pick ended up being Roquan in this class, though. So, decent get. I think this is a solid draft for the Ravens. And again, I think Zay Flowers in a Todd Monken offense is enticing.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what the offense looks like next year, right? With Zay, with Bateman, Odell. Go ahead.
Now, in my experience with the Todd Monken offense, it's a lot of high variable stuff that goes on in there, right? Like a lot of deep balls, a lot of more chances. I know that when Lamar was healthy last year, one of the issues he did have for whatever reason was inconsistency on those deep balls.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that in the Todd Monken offense being an issue with that? It may not be necessarily pairing up with his skills as a thrower, because he's skilled like in the intermediate area. I think he's very accurate. And I think especially like outside the numbers, 15 to 20. But I think sometimes he struggles that deep part of the field.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of what Todd Monken wants you to do.
Yeah. I think a couple things. I think that they will still push it because he was accurate at the beginning of the year when Bateman was there. When Bateman left, which it was in week 4. But that's so the inaccuracies start to boil for him, especially on the deep side. The thing is with Zay Flowers, you can have him in space, right? And now the question is, having Zay Flowers, would that open those passes in the open field where the guy might have been open now and could be easier throws than a contested guy pass, right? I think that's what Zay does, because with Zay, you can throw 6-7 yard hitch route.
Zay's the kind of guy you would want to throw like hitches and some screens too, right?
Exactly.
And to get Lamar some easier completions.
Honestly,
it's kind of like similar to what the Browns' philosophy is with Elijah Moore. Like it's the same type of like home run hit.
I agree with that. So we'll see. It's gonna be It's gonna be interesting. I can't wait to see how they're gonna, because the idea is if they can bring the passing game without taking away how the running constants were for the Ravens, right? The Ravens ran super complex running plays, which threw the defense for a loop, right? We were pulling guards, pulling tackles, pulling the center. I mean, we were just doing crazy stuff. And if he's gonna go more vanilla on the running side, that's gonna hurt that running game. So I'm hoping that he doesn't do that. He just keeps the running attack how it was, which is hard.
Now,
and then the passing game gets enhanced.
If Greg Roman were still in the Ravens, no shot Darnell Washington falls past him in the second round, right? Like, no shot. I could get him to seal the edge for Lamar. Oh, we running this thing, boys.
Like, it's too bad. It's too bad.
Whew. Lamar would have been furious.
So to recap the AFC North draft, everyone had a pretty good draft. The Steelers had the greatest draft of all time. Just to recap, just to put like a bow on that.
The second greatest draft in the Pennsylvania.
Greatest 6-7 future Hall of Famers.
The Eagles draft was nasty.
The Eagles draft was much better. But it's like being second best to Pat Mahomes. It's like, there's a gap. It's a big one, but you can celebrate being.
Yeah, we'll take AFC champions. That's fine.
That's AFC draft. You know,
hey, that's AFC draft. That's I agree.
And notice the best AFC draft had how many players from Georgia? 2 of them. Like,
didn't we went down that trend. Yeah, we only took Big Ten and SEC players, the 2 best conferences.
Big brands.
As it turns out.
Big brands. You know what I mean? They wasn't trying to go to the AAC to find no gems.
Yeah.
By the way, Tony,
there are no gems out there.
So the Twitter poll, we talk about what the Twitter poll was, but here on YouTube, the poll, what do you think it was?
I already saw it.
You saw it? 38% Steelers, number 1. 27 for the Bengals, 18 third place for the Browns, 17% for the.
And remember, the Steelers, I always say this, right? When it's a 50-50 poll, it starts at like 30-70 against the Steelers. That's just a baseline for AFC North.
I think everybody recognized that the Steelers draft was pretty good.
Yeah, it's decent. It was a decent class. I'm genuinely excited about this class, but like we talked about, there's a lot of swinging for the fences with these picks. It's not a lot of singles, right? It's not a lot of guys who are going to come in and, you could just count on Joey Porter to be a starter for the next 10 years. He's got a lot of things to work on. So does Benton. So does Jones, even Washington as a receiver. But it represents, that's where I think this class gets aggressive from a Omar Khan perspective, right? Omar Khan, first draft as a Steelers GM, didn't come in and get, let me just take a bunch of safe players. Like, no, let me swing for the fences because if this works.
So at the end, you traded Chase Claypool for Joey Porter Jr.
For Joey Porter Jr. Yeah. Is that a good or bad trade, would you say?
It's almost 50-50. Yeah, I'll give you a notch.
Okay, I appreciate that. Yeah. Like I said, any poll here starts at 30-70. So the fact that it's 50-50, again, I take that as a massive win.
Soul Train here says, "What's the ideal way for Ika and Dwan James?"
I think they could both work a salad in. It's they could both work in a salad.
I think for both of them probably. Because you cannot go too low for them because it's not realistic. But let's say 350, right? If they can be in the 350.
DeJuan Jones played.
DeJuan Jones is not going to be at 350.
Yeah, he played at 375.
At the lowest, probably 375. Yeah, the question is, does he just not care, or does he just is he Shaquille O'Neal, or is he something a little bit more diabolical than that, right? Because is he, I got hurt on company time, I'm gonna get I ain't until I'm at work, I ain't working kind of deal, right? Like, is he just kind of lazy? Like, is that what we're dealing with here? Or are we dealing with something a little bit more sinister with DeJuan Jones?
And what you guys have heard about Ika of his workout ethic?
Man, everything I heard about him, I don't like. About he got a chip on his shoulder because he's undersized. I'm like, oh, a chip on his shoulder. Yeah, I got PTSD from Baker Mayfield. Multiple chips he had on his shoulder. Really helped the team win games, right? And then, it just, the workout stuff's weird. He gained 20 pounds in like 2 weeks after the combine. Yeah, so it tells me that whatever weight he dropped for the combine, he's not playing at that weight. right? So he's clearly going to be heavier.
Yeah.
Not bench pressing. Weird. Usually, like, try hard defensive tackle dudes like that love the bench press because they can dominate that one. But you don't want to do that. That's weird to me. The running to 40 when that's clearly going to be your worst test. Like, there's so many just little red flags, and then you watch him on tape and he's just out there waddling around, and you're like, oh yeah, he's going to play wide. He's going to be 3. We're going to put him in. We're going to have him shade. I mean, hey, maybe Jim Schwartz knows something I don't, and it's possible. But dog, I got to see that before I believe it.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm with you.
Yeah. QC, you're saying, like, is Siaki's that dude about his jersey?
No. I'm not buying his jersey.
Somebody sent Siaki's jersey to Q.
No, I'm not buying his jersey, but I'll give him his props if he plays well. I would love to be wrong about this and be talking about the Ika Island or whatever the hell we could have it be.
That's a whole continent between the two of them.
The same way Tony would love for that meme to be hilarious because Kenny Pickett becomes like an all-timer. The same way I would love for me on the elliptical to be hilarious. I would love it if he could become Warren Sapp or something like that. I just don't think that that's the timeline we live in.
Yeah, somebody was comparing. I saw somebody saying, "Oh, he's gonna be like Vita Vea." I was like, "Have you seen Vita Vea?"
Oh, that's what drives me crazy. People see him and go, Vita Vea. And like, do you not realize like how athletic Vita Vea? That's
he's
like
big,
calling Danny Shelton. That's like seeing Danny Shelton in 20 whatever it was, and being like, you know who he reminds me of? Hiloti Nada. No, he don't. No, he don't. Like, what are you talking about?
No.
Oh, hey, one other thing we should talk about before we wrap up. We talked a lot about Andre Carter on this show.
Did he fall out the draft?
He fell out of the draft, which is the best thing that ever happened to him. Did you see how much money he got?
No.
Oh, did he get like one of those 5th round like equivalents, like 250 guaranteed?
He got the most. He got 35 signing bonus, 300 guaranteed.
Hey, thank you for your service, Mr.
The
Carter.
Vikings. The Vikings. What a weird world we live in where these undrafted guys can just absolutely cash in like this.
It's better to go undrafted.
It's better.
Get drafted past, like, if you fall out the 5th round, just don't get drafted.
Yep.
I think that's what's happening is why these guys are falling off the board is like agents are like, don't draft this to this point. Like,
who just before closing,
you're gonna have to up the guarantees for the back end to make that like people want to get drafted again.
Yeah, if you're projected to be a 6th round pick, do something stupid so you fall out of the draft and cash in.
So what is that player that went undrafted that your team got that you're excited about? Do you have any?
I'm not excited about. I mean, we have Tanner Morgan, the Minnesota quarterback.
You guys aren't excited about Lonnie Phelps, man, on the Browns? You know what I mean?
I like the kid that somebody. So I like the running back out of Eastern. Whatever it is, he looked good, but obviously I think he doesn't make the team. But the receiver out of Maryland, actually, Venus. It was our first super chat. Remember the first super chat? He was talking about that guy, big receiver, a lot of potential. He got hurt. He didn't play as good last year, but I would like to see what he does because again, we don't have that big receiver.
I'm not hyped about any undrafted. I am hyped about Corey Trice. Corey Trice is a Purdue player who was another like in your face press man corner who had, he had top 100 player tape, but supposedly this knee that he had ACL surgery on a year ago is like jacked. And that's a lot of teams took him off the board entirely. So we'll see if that.
So with this one, we're going to close. Danny Shelton, a recipient of Tampa Bay Super Bowl Sherry. 2 rings. Danny Shelton has 2 rings?
He must.
What?
Great job.
Anyway.
Great job, Danny Shelton.
I mean,
one other thing. One other thing before we go, because Sonny, you made this joke earlier, so we do need to retire it, though, because I have to let everyone know. The Steelers took a Maryland player, okay? Now everyone made the same joke. Oh, my gosh, Maryland player. Can you believe it?
I told you before the draft.
Mike Tomlin's son transferred to Boston College a year ago. This will be he's going into his 2nd year at Boston College. I think it's time to retire the Maryland thing.
Until look, the Ravens were in the same boat doing Michigan players, and this year they didn't draft one. But
they didn't draft one?
Nope, not a Michigan. I don't even know if they have an undrafted Michigan guy.
Unbelievable.
So, how do you guys think the draft reflects each team approach to roster building?
That's a great question. I think for me the Steelers are trying to build a a physical football team. They're opting out of the arms race that is offensive weaponry and opting into let's just play physical football and turn back the clock, baby boys.
I think
what that usually signifies.
Go ahead.
No faith in the
well, they took him specifically for this reason. And by the way,
take a tight end, you don't even want to catch the ball.
Mm-hmm. And I'm excited about it, by the way. And by the way, that was the pick of the draft.
It signals to me that we all know what the reality is. With
7-6 as a starter last year as a rookie. So get ready. Strap in, boys. Strap in. Just getting started.
You know what I mean? Hey, we know where this is going.
The best thing, we're going to go into year 2 of every team is going to convince themselves that they're better than the Steelers. And this year, I think not only one of you, I think 2 of you are finishing below us this year.
2.
Oh, you think you're finishing in second place?
I think right now I'm going to, to Babe Ruth it right now. Finishing in second.
You don't think it's possible?
So get ready
that you're going to go too far here.
Get ready. At least one of you is finishing below us again. Probably 2.
So answering the question, I think the Ravens went with Zay Flowers to put more dynamic weapons on the offensive side.
One bad only.
The rest of the picks for the Ravens were basically, you're gonna be substituting a starter next year, right? In the case of Simpson, and in the case of the other guys competing to potentially substitute a starter in the following years, as we pay Lamar, and you will see some of these guys we won't be able to pay. Q, any final thoughts?
Lamar got a higher cap hit than Deshaun Watson. LOL. Everybody have a great night.
When though? Like in 3 years, maybe.
This year?
No, not this year.
Yeah, this year.
They're gonna have
the cap hit's like only like $13 million this year.
No, they're both gonna have minimum salary contracts this year.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Anyway, take it easy, guys.
All right.
Well.